What is up, Alphas? Welcome to our next Alpha interview. Today we're hanging out with Jeanne from Harvest Herbals, and this is our first bath and body shop, I believe, which is crazy because we have so many Alphas who sell bath and body products. So it's really interesting that you're the only one who signed up. How dare they? You can be you're special. You're our purple cow for the episode. So I touched on what you sell, but do you want to give the Alphas a more in-depth description of what they can find in your shop?
Sure. I think my little difference is the fact that a lot of my products are herbal infused, hence the Harvest Herbals. So I do, bath bombs and all types of bath things, bath bombs, soap. One of my biggest seller, oddly enough, is magnesium body butter. So yeah, it's good. And I also do candles. So it's Harvest Herbal and Candle Co., but that's not my main thing. But even with that, I try to make it I try to use just the best ingredients that I can possibly can. So I do, soy candles with high quality fragrance oils that are paraben free and phthalate free. And because I am so sensitive as far as, skin and smells and things like this, that's kind of the audience that I sell to. And a lot of people have found me because of that, just, low fragrance and this kind of thing. So it's more about the product than the smelly part of it, essentially.
That's great. And I love that. I love that you pointed out the candles, because a lot of Alphas come to us and they say things like, oh, I've got this product and this product, and they're two different products. Do I need to split them into separate shops? I'm like, well, the primary demographic is the same. And what are people doing when they're having spa night? They're going to light some candles.
Exactly. They go hand in hand. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So I can't remember exactly when you joined HAA or how long you've been in the community. When was that?
It was last June.
June. Okay. So almost a year. So you haven't been in for very long then.
No. And I started my shop right at the pandemic. It was the end of March, 2020. So I experienced the growth that you always talk about for that year, that anomaly year. But I had been watching you almost from the very beginning and learning so much from all the free content you offer. And you offer a lot. So that was super helpful. And I was back and forth on the course because I'm like, oh, but I'm older and, am I going to understand all this? Because I'm not a tech person. I'm actually an occupational therapist, but because of health, I had to retire from that. And it was these few months of, well, what am I going to do now? And being very impulsive by nature, I'm going to just open an Etsy shop because I had been making things for a long, long, long time, even from when my kids were little, and I just wanted, just doing salves and things like that, so as not to have to. Just to make things as natural as possible.
Absolutely.
Sorry. So yeah. And so then I just jumped in with that, and I was able to backtrack and kind of correct all the things that I had impulsively done that I didn't know anything about. But I don't think I would change that, because I was able to go back to a real shop and make those corrections and those changes and, and see the growth from there. So
that's awesome. And, most of the Alphas that we've interviewed also joined around that Etsy pandemic wave that we talk about. How do you feel that it is affecting your business now that things are starting to kind of normalize? Because obviously when everybody's home, like self-care becomes number one priority all of a sudden. And now people are kind of returning back to work and falling back into their normal lives. Has it affected your business at all?
It's a little hard to tell because, I've had long COVID. I had COVID, I have long COVID. And so I'm still dealing with that.
Yeah.
But the awesome thing was, because of the things I had already put in place that I learned in Handmade Alpha Academy, and again, with all your free stuff, those were already in place. And I had the best January. Well, everybody else was like, oh my gosh, it's dead. which is what I experienced the previous year, it kept going to the point where I literally, because I couldn't do it, had to teach my husband how to make things so that we can keep up with, with the orders. So I just thought, that was such a testament to what you guys teach, that even though I was not actively doing anything, everything I planned for January never happened, but it continued to grow because of the things I put in place. And it's not even everything. I still have so much work to do, but so it's hard to tell now, but it's still continuing. It's slow, which is fine because I can't really attend to a lot at the moment. But the things I had already put in place are still working.
That's fantastic though. And that's why I love doing these interviews, because often like on YouTube, you see success stories where people are like, I made $1 million selling on Etsy. And like, that's cool and all, but I can't, nobody's able to watch that.
And that's, you're talking about a 1%er of a 1%er when it comes to shops like that. Somebody they got, I don't know, somebody on CNN talked about their product on the hot day and they exploded. So it's not fair to talk to people like that,
Yeah. And I what I love is showcasing these stories where you got really, really freaking sick, and to the point where you had to recruit family help to be able to keep up with it. And that is such a huge thing that so many people can probably relate to, especially now. But obviously you've grown. You have, your shop looks great, by the way. We just looked at it a few minutes ago. It looks fantastic. What ultimately made you decide to join HAA, and where were you in your journey of starting your business when you joined? I
was just a little over a year, and I had zero online selling experience. Like I had said, I was an occupational therapist at orthopedic clinic. So I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing. But I knew I wanted to do this because I had, got to have purpose in life. I can't just do nothing. So I started the shop, and about a year later, after continuing to watch all your free content, I asked a lot of questions in the group and things like that. I just thought, and then the money, the money back guarantee, and Mark's like, no questions asked, we'll just refund it. But there's no way. I don't know how you could not succeed by following the step-by-step really instruction of how you lead us through HAA. And I knew I needed something condensed because I got all my education for this on YouTube.
Yeah.
Anything you could possibly, you need to know, but you helped me weed out the things that would not be helpful.
The time wasters.
Yeah, there's a lot of things out there, coaches that you guys talk about a lot. So I wanted that in that one place, and I wanted to have it before Christmas so that I could implement a lot before that came up. But so what made me, kind of pull the trigger was everything you offered is what I needed to learn. So. Yeah.
And we always talk about how you don't know what you need to know. And that's the hardest part because it's scattered everywhere. And the problem with listening to 100 different influencers in the Etsy community is that everybody's going to contradict themselves and everybody's going to give you different information. And I've always said that even if it's not me, people need to find someone that they like and connect with and then stick to that person. Because if you try to listen to everybody, you're just going to be more confused than when you started.
Oh yeah, big time.
There's no at that point.
So you started in the middle of the pandemic. So apart from like supply chain issues and things like that, because I'm sure that was kind of a pain in the butt starting out. What was probably the most difficult part of getting started for you?
Well, I was starting the shop.
Yes.
In general. Well, because I'm very impulsive, that wasn't difficult at all because Etsy, it's very easy to go through it. But then I have a shop and then I get orders and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to ship. I don't know how to pack this. I don't know any of these things. So I always say I feel so sorry for the customers who bought from me, including friends and family in the beginning, because I had no brand. I didn't know how to ship. I didn't know how to package things for shipping. It was a hot mess. I mean, even my products in general, you know, just as far as preservatives and things like that. It's okay to not use those when you're doing it for yourself and your family, but you can't sell things like that. So I had to learn so much so quickly. That's where it became difficult to go back in, you know.
That's a good problem to have, especially being someone I'm impulsive like that too. I do the exact same thing, but usually when you're impulsive like that, you learn to work under pressure. So it's a good problem to have where you're making sales and it's forcing you to learn to do things the right way very quickly.
Yeah. And the working well under pressure, I mean, it's funny. It's ironic because you create such a relaxing product. You work in occupational therapy and you have to perform well under pressure when it comes to business. And often when you run a business, self-care of yourself is the last thing that you worry about.
Yes.
Yes. Do as I say, not as I do. That's
Yeah, I only work under pressure.
Yeah. Yep. Well, pressure makes diamonds. That's what I always say.
Exactly.
So with so many alphas that are also in the bath and body care community in particular, I know a lot of them are nervous to start for all of the reasons that you've stated. We've got tons of alphas who will make their first, batch of bath bombs and ship them out, and they'll arrive in crumbles. There's so many things that can go wrong. You talked about preservatives. You don't want to send somebody a funky product that ends up, getting nasty. What's some words of wisdom that you could share with somebody who might be in the same industry as you based on your experiences?
I would say for the product itself or the products themselves, test, and test again. And not just test making the product and giving it to your friends and family to try, test shipping those products. So one thing that I had to learn was shipping in the summer for a body butter or something like that. That would literally be a hot mess by the time, depending on where you're shipping to. Are you shipping to Florida or or to Arizona? It's 120 degrees there, and inside your package, I can't even imagine. So and these are things that I think I wish I would have known, because you have to wrap differently. You've got to have, and then you also I include ice packs. Well, that's expensive. And it's even more expensive now. So I didn't know that. I thought, okay, it's just stuff you have to learn on the fly. So testing your product, especially when it's going to be used on the skin, is so, so important. And there's lots of courses that people can take to find out about preservatives and emulsifiers and all those types of things. But doing your own research and testing, send your things across the country, and then carriers too, like who's going to handle your product the best. There's so much that goes into it, and it's not my favorite. I'd much rather just make things. But all that other stuff, and you make your beautiful thing, and it's beautiful when you have it, and you want to sell it right away, but it will come back to bite you because you don't want bad reviews and things like that. And that's so test. Make a long story longer. Test and test again.
That's perfect though, and that's great advice. And in the Handmade Alpha Facebook community and for students in the student campus, I'm sure that there would be an alpha who would have no problem receiving a product on the other side of the country or the world, just so you know how it arrived. That way you could get that feedback.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that's something that we've never done before. But if you guys want to use it for that purpose, I think that everybody could benefit from that, even if they're not an HAA.
I thought about that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. So on the subject of getting COVID, because obviously it has really, really knocked you on your butt. Mark and I had it twice, and both times it was completely different. And I still don't feel like we've fully recovered. Even now, it's been almost a year since we got it, and we still have problems. and I know that there are tons of alphas who either, you know, they'll have caught it by the time that they watch this video, or they've had it in the past, or they're still suffering with the effects of it. How have you been able to manage your business and deal with something that is so exhausting?
So I keep my customers updated through social media, and then also through my, the Read More section on my Etsy page. And thanks to you, I have an email list that I can send that out to people. But pacing is the name of the game. I have yet to make new product. I haven't. Besides the stuff I taught my husband to make that was in demand. And I just have not been able to do it. So, and what that reminds me of is something you guys always say about that quick growth, that, you know, TikTok that goes viral, whatever. And then businesses have to shut their doors because they're not prepared to scale. So I feel very fortunate that I'm having just a very slow, steady that I can manage right now, even going into Mother's Day. Because there is, you know, if that was to happen, there's no way I would be able to do it. Absolutely no way. And you don't want to push yourself, because with COVID, with long COVID is what they're calling it. It will definitely work against you. And then you'll be out for 2+ weeks, you know, then that's conservative. So it's no joke. And it was bad. It was not a good time, because I ended up with COVID pneumonia on top of it. So it wasn't just the after effects of COVID. Yeah, it was the COVID pneumonia and then pulmonary fibrosis on top, which I'm just all still dealing with, hence the oxygen.
Wow. That I can't even imagine still running a business on top of that. Like I think about just how much it knocked us on our butts in those months following. And we didn't do anything. We did the Friday Bean, and that was it. We did Friday Bean, and we replied to emails, and we were out for the count.
And even then, we didn't want to do that.
No, we did that because we had to. So and
that is exhausting. Just sitting up and having to hold a conversation. I can't even imagine. You guys probably just went to bed right after it.
Oh God, we took a lot of naps, a lot of midday naps. Yeah. And when the kiddo was doing homeschooling, we were sleeping until like noon every single day. We slept and slept. And it's like, no matter how long you sleep, you can't get enough sleep.
Exactly. And that's the definition of fatigue.
Yeah, absolutely. So this time has absolutely flown by. All interviews have. It's crazy how quick the time goes when you're deep in conversation. But the question that we've asked every single alpha at the end of their interview is, based on your personal experiences going through the program, if someone were to come to you saying that they're interested in joining, but they're nervous, they're scared, it's a big time investment, it's a big money investment, based on what you accomplished and your time in the program, what would you say to somebody who was nervous?
Do it. Just do it. Yeah, absolutely. Just do it, because there's what do you have to lose? If you work it the way a lot of alphas have and have had great success. I mean, I'm only at like 700 and something sales.
Don't say only. That's great for joining just during the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely very happy about that. But I mean, I know others have been very, very successful. But just do it. I mean, and if you work it, especially, I can't remember, the money back guarantee is 30 days. 30 days. Okay. If you look at it within those 30 days, you're going to know. And I can't imagine a scenario where it wouldn't be applicable for someone's shop, someone's genre. I mean, just listen to the Friday Bean. You cover the gamut of genres, right? And age groups. So it's everything you need in one place. So I feel like that really just cuts down on the mindless chatter, the fluff, because there is no fluff. There is no fluff in Handmade. No, there is none. And you guys, you tell it how it is. And I appreciate that so much. Just originally being from the East Coast, I just love I just love the way you talk to people. You know, there's just nothing. It's like, we're never going to wonder what you're thinking or what you really mean, because, and so I think that's great. I love that. But your teaching style is fantastic. I mean, I can't think of a scenario, like I said, where it would not be applicable to someone's handmade business.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm glad that you pointed that out, because it's like one of those things where coaching right now, it became super trendy around the pandemic because everybody wanted to work from home. But the problem is that there are so many people that aren't experts.
Yes.
That go and they read, you know, they take a quick like little course, or they read a book and then they decide, okay, I'm going to make a course on this material.
Yeah.
And they're able to regurgitate what they've read, but they don't actually know what they're teaching. And that's where things get really, really frustrating for any coaching, whether you're trying to learn, you know, and take an Instagram course or a Pinterest course, or I mean, underwater basket weaving, whatever you're taking, you need to make sure that you really feel out the person that you're learning from, because it is a saturated industry and there are a lot of people that don't have your best interest in mind.
It's just like any industry, when something becomes popular, something becomes a way that people see to make money fast, the toxic side comes in.
Absolutely.
Of course, especially during the pandemic, courses were a big thing that influencers were getting in. People that were already, you know, in the 6, 7, 8 figure incomes were starting to get into courses because they knew they could exploit their fan base. And that's why we tried to move into the very like you said, tell it like it is kind of mindset, because we want people to know exactly what we mean without any of the fluff. And I'm so glad that you said that, because it's something that I hadn't really thought about. We take a lot of courses, and that's one thing that I absolutely hate, where there's like one really good module of something and then there's like 3 or 4 hours of just crap in between. And it's like,
or selling something, because that is because your free stuff they're not infomercials. They really are full of content, applicable content. And I have taken other free courses, and it's 10 minutes of, you know, maybe content, and not even content, because it's really talking about those that I feel like at this point unattainable levels. And then the rest of the course is buy my course.
Sales pitch.
Yes, and this isn't even the first person that we've talked to in an interview that has said that exact same thing, where it's an hour, 2 hours worth of content, and they always feel like they're about to get to the point that you want to hear, and they never do. They're always moving on to a new talking point, kind of describing the main point. And then at the end of it, they're like, yeah, and guess what? If you spend $5,000, exactly. And we can't stand that, because the whole course industry's moved in that direction.
And that shows no value for our time too.
Exactly.
Yes. And you value our time, and that's evidenced in how you present your material.
We love that.
I totally appreciate that.
Can't have a better testimonial.
I was going to say background. You can tell people that have a background in teaching versus those who are replicating, because, you know.
Yeah. It's the difference between a good, honest group of people and people that just sell my get rich quick books. By the way, I got rich selling my get rich quick books.
Right.
Like,
All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. Do you have an Instagram account or any social media?
Yes, and it's all Harvest Herbals.
Awesome. So all of the Harvest Herbals links will be down below. Socials, Etsy shop. Make sure that you guys go and follow and check out some of Jeanne's products. And thank you so much for hanging out with us, for doing this interview, and for sharing your story. I know that you were a little concerned with how you were feeling, but I think that this has been a really great interview that a lot of alphas are going to be able to connect with and feel inspired by.
So good. Thank you guys so much.
Of course. Thanks.